Hello. Hey, oh, we're live. Hello. How's everyone doing? Yeah. Okay. Well, I am here with a man who I think needs no introduction, right? R.L. Stine.
No, go ahead.
I'll do it anyway. Creator of Goosebumps, writer of tons of books, including joke books, which I'm going to ask you about later. So let's give it up for R.L. Stine.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll tell you why I'm especially glad to be here today. This is why I'm especially glad. I did a book signing in New York City a couple weeks ago, and a teacher came up to the table and she said, "Can I have my picture taken with you? The kids all think you're dead."
Oh my God.
Well, that's why I'm especially glad to be here today.
Yeah. Well, that is a very good reason to be glad to be here. So how's your con been so far?
I've had a good time, except this morning, a woman stopped me in the lobby of the hotel, and she said, "Did anyone ever tell you you look a lot like R.L. Stine? No offense."
Oh.
She said, "No offense."
Okay.
So that was sort of a bad moment.
Yeah,
you know?
that's not how you want to start the day.
No.
Well, how other than people thinking that you look like R.L. Stine, how
No, I'm having a good time.
yeah, how have the fans
it
been?
just occurred to me this morning that there's so few places where you get this many people in one place who like to read.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I just think that's amazing. So that's why I love Comic-Cons. I've been doing a lot of them.
So have you ever had a fan interaction that just sticks with you over the years? Someone who was excited, someone who was nervous, anything like that?
Well, I've had many of those.
Yeah.
And of course, I'll get a lot of fan interactions from fan mail. And I get a lot of very memorable fan mail. Maybe you've heard me tell my all-time favorite fan letter, which was from a boy. It was, "Dear R.L. Stine, I've read 40 of your books and I think they're really boring."
Okay.
That was good, right?
He took the time.
Once you just reminded me, I was doing a long time ago, back in the day, back at the height of Goosebumps, and I was doing a book signing in Dallas. And this little blonde boy, this beautiful, angelic-looking boy, came up to the table with his mother, and I signed his book for him, and I shook hands with him. And as he walked off, I heard him say to his mother, "I'm the luckiest man on earth."
Oh.
And it was like one of those too nice moments, and I burst into tears.
Oh.
And I'm supposed to be scary, right? Here I'm at a book signing, and I burst into tears. I had to go back in the shelves and get myself together.
Oh.
Every once in a while, you just reminded me of that. I haven't thought about it in years. There's like just a moment that's too nice. I'll tell you about my meeting with Ray Bradbury.
Oh yeah, please.
Now, Ray Bradbury is a real hero of mine. When I was 9 or 10, I read only comic books. That's all I read. You know, when I was a kid, there were the great EC horror comics, Tales from the Crypt and the Vault of Horror, and that's what I read as a kid. One day, I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, and one day my mom dropped me off at the little library on Main Street, and the librarian said, "Bob, I know you like comic books. I think I have something else you will like." And she took me to a shelf of Ray Bradbury stories. And they were so wonderful, so imaginative, and all beautifully written, and they all had twist endings. And Ray Bradbury really turned me into a reader. He was just a real hero of mine. I met him only once. And I'm telling you another too nice moment.
Oh, no.
It was at the LA Times Book Festival, and I walked by, and there was Ray Bradbury in a publisher's booth eating a hot dog. And my wife said, "You have to go say hello to him. He was so important to you. You have to say hello." And I'm kind of shy, really. And I said, "Oh, no, I couldn't. I couldn't do it." And she said, "Go over there, go say hi to him. You really have to."
Yeah.
So I went up to him, and I was so nervous. I was like a kid, and I went over and I said, Mr. Bradbury, you're my hero. And he turned around and he shook hands and he said, well, you're a hero to a lot of other people. It was such a, what a, you know,
That's so great.
a really too nice, right?
That's what you want to hear
Oh,
your
it's
heroes
just a
say.
wonder. Well, you never know what your heroes are going to say.
That's very true.
My wife loves the humor writer, Dave Barry.
Oh, sure, yeah.
She loves him. And we were at the book convention in New York, and there was Dave Barry across the aisle. And Jane went running across the aisle and up to Dave Barry. She said, Mr. Barry, I think you're the funniest man on earth. Everything you write makes me laugh. I just think you're hilarious. And Dave Barry said, you're a very sick woman.
But that's, in a way, what you want Dave Barry to say, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So what drew you to horror? What was it about the genre, other than Ray Bradbury? Was there something that
Well,
clicked?
see, that's an embarrassing story.
Okay, well, I'm
Because
for that, yeah.
I never planned to be scary.
Okay.
I never planned. My brother and I loved horror. We used to go to a horror movie every Saturday afternoon. We'd see like The Brain That Wouldn't Die and It Came From Beneath the Sea and all those great films. We loved them, but I never planned to write. I only wanted to be funny. And I did. I wrote 100 joke books for kids. I was Jovial Bob Stine.
Yep.
I never planned to be scary. I did a humor magazine for 10 years called Bananas. And it wasn't my idea to be scary, so it's embarrassing. I was having lunch one day with a publisher from Scholastic, a friend of mine named Jean Fywell. And Jean arrived at lunch angry. She came angry. She had just had a fight with an author who wrote teen horror books, who shall remain nameless, Christopher Pike.
Oh, okay.
And she said, I'm never working with him again. You could write a good horror novel for teenagers. Go home and write a book called Blind Date. She even gave me the title. I didn't know what she was talking about. I said, sure, no problem. And I ran to the bookstore and bought a bunch of books by Lois Duncan and some Christopher Pike books, and there were some other people writing teen horror to try to figure out what it was. And then I wrote this book, Blind Date. It came out, it was a #1 bestseller. I said, wait a minute. A year later, I wrote another horror novel called Twisted, and it was a #1 bestseller. And I said, forget the funny stuff,
Yeah.
right? And I've been scary ever since, but it's kind of embarrassing since I didn't think of it.
Well, it ended up being, yeah, not so embarrassing.
Well, it worked out.
Yeah, it worked out pretty
It's
well.
a-
So are
it's
you...
It's a living.
Yeah, it's... So are you personally, I've always wondered this, are you unscarable? Can someone scare you?
Here's the scariest moment of my life.
Okay.
I will say this, there's something missing in my brain because I never get scared at movies or reading scary books. I don't know what that feeling is like. Horror always makes me laugh.
Wow.
Always. If you're in the movies and the shark comes up and is eating all the teenagers, I'm the one in the theater laughing. I don't know, I don't get that part. But what was the question? Oh, no, I know.
Answer it.
No, I would tell you, this is, for real though, the scariest moment of my life.
Yeah.
And it only lasted about 30 seconds, but it was terrifying. When my son Matt was a real little guy, I took him to the automobile show in New York City.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
at the huge convention center.
Javits, right?
Yeah, Javits
Yeah.
Center. Thousands of people, hundreds of cars, thousands, everyone walking around, and I lost him.
Ooh. Yeah.
That was, I'd always get such silence. That was the scariest moment of my life. And I can still remember that horrible feeling of panic. And the whole thing lasted about 20 seconds, but it was terrifying. And then finally I saw him over by a car, and I went running over and I said, Matt, are you okay? And he said, where were you, Dad? I was about to call the manager.
You were the one who was
See,
lost.
no, he's a New York kid. I didn't
Yeah.
have to worry about him,
Yeah, he's
right?
fine.
He's going to call the manager.
He's fine.
But that seriously was the scariest moment of my life.
Yeah, it's very scary. Well, we have to end it there. But guys, follow
Hey,
along.
we just got started.
And it feels like we just got started, yeah. But please follow along all weekend long with hashtag It's a Fan Thing, hashtag C2E2 to see more great interviews. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Stine.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Yeah. And stick around because up next we have Box Brown talking the Andy Kaufman graphic novel. So stick around. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.